Hello students, welcome to EPG Pathshala, Paper 12, Module 34, EIA Consultant Accreditation Scheme. Dear students, in the previous modules we have already learnt about the EIA, what EIA is, why we need EIA, and about the EIA 1994 and then 2006 notifications along with their amendments, how to do EIA, who can do EIA, and so many things. So, in this module we will cover in brief, very brief introduction to EIA, then the genesis of scheme for accreditation of EIA consultant organizations, about QCI means Quality Control of India and NABET scheme of EIA accreditation, scope and coverage of this scheme, eligibility for accreditation, accreditation process, benefits of accreditation, etc. So, again reintroducing EIA. We all know the process of EIA formally started in India with notification on 27th January 1994 as EIA Notification 1994. In suppression to the EIA Notification 1994, new notification of EIA 2006 was issued by the Government of India under Ministry of Environment, Forest and Climate Change on September 14, 2006. The notification was applicable for the following type of projects. Number 1, all new projects listed in the Schedule 2 of EIA notification. Number 2, expansion and modernization of existing projects or any activities listed in schedule. Number 3, any change in product mix in an existing manufacturing unit included in schedule. So, next we will discuss about the genesis of scheme for accreditation of EIA consultant organizations. Till the end of year 2009, there was no mandatory rules regarding the expertise of environmental consultant, laboratory facilities available, quality of reports, etc. for the EIA. It was felt in the ministry that there is a need to enhance the quality of EIA reports. The good quality EIA reports are prerequisite for improved decision making. The EIA consultants should have expertise and knowledge in areas such as land use, air quality, water quality, noise, ecology, socio-economic aspects, risks and hazard management, etc. Hence, keeping in view of the requirements, the Government of India under MOEFCC, that is Ministry of Environment, Forest and Climate Change, issued Office Memorandum dated December 2, 2009 regarding accreditation of the EIA consultants with Quality Council of India QCI and National Accreditation Board of Education and Training. The following decisions were taken in the memorandum. All the consultants, public sector undertaking, that is PSUs, working in the area of EIA would be required to get themselves registered under the scheme of accreditation and registration of the NABET or QCI. Consultant would be confined in the consultancy only to the accredited sectors and parameters for bringing in more specificity in the EIA document. The QCI would put in place detailed procedure for registration of consultants, for taking up the assignments in category A and category B projects as already detailed in EIA notification 2006. The QCI would maintain full transparency on accredited consultants, procedure followed for accreditation, feedback and evaluation mechanism for consultants for quality of EIA or environment management project reports. After accreditation, the consultants would need to include a certificate in this regard in the EIA or EMP reports prepared by them and data provided by other organizations or laboratories, including their status of approvals, etc. Now, about Quality Council of India and NABIT. The Quality Council of India was set up in February 1996 jointly by the Government of India and 3 Indian industrial associations, namely Associated Chambers of Commerce and Industry of India, that is ASSOCHAM, then Confederation of Indian Industry, commonly called CII, and Federation of Indian Chambers of Commerce and Industry, commonly known as FICCI. The objectives of setting up the QCI were to: number 1, establish and operate national accreditation structure, promote quality through national quality campaign. The chairman of QCI is appointed by the Honorable Prime Minister on the recommendations of the industry to the government. National Accreditation Board for Education and Training, NABIT, is one of the boards of QCI. The NABIT covers the areas of education, environment, skills, certification, skill training, MSME, etc. Now, continuing, the QCI evolved the process of accreditation of EIA consultants in 2007 through NABIT. To implement the scheme, NABIT is guided by a group of eminent professionals in the field of environment management and allied subjects. Depending on the expertise required, NABIT secretariat is structured into 5 groups as discussed. These are technical committee comprising of 5 to 7 experienced professionals with proven track record. Accreditation committee comprising of 5 to 7 eminent persons with vast experience in the field. Then comes the NABIT assessors. It is a group of eminent professionals with long-standing experience in relevant field for carrying out technical assessment of the applications as well as for conducting office assessment / interactions with experts. Then NABIT secretariat. It comprises a mix of senior professionals and young energetic technical staff. Then specialists. These are guidance of specialists for certain aspects of assessment where it does not have expertise. Then comes the scheme of EIA accreditation. The scheme operated by QCI or NABIT has accredited about 170 consultant organizations under the scheme till 2018. The scheme has evolved in 3 phases as version 1, 2, 3 in the last 7 years as described. Version 1, it came in January 2010, containing the initial accreditation process, which was earlier recognized as REV 6 of the scheme. Then came the version 2 in August 2011, containing the IA and surveillance assessment process, which was earlier recognized as REV 9 of the scheme. Version 3 came in June 2015 and it is the latest version containing the IA, SA, re-accreditation process and the rationalization of functional areas as per sectors. This is the current version operative since 2015. The current version of the scheme incorporates number 1 all the 3 processes, that is initial accreditation, surveillance assessment and re-accreditation. Classifications issued on the scheme since the latest or last version 2000 version 2 revision 9 to August 2011. Rationalization of requirements of the functional area experts. Next, scope and coverage of the scheme. The scheme covers EIA EMP reports of all projects listed in the schedule of EIA notification 2006 and its amendments. Currently, the schedule has 40 sectors and further in some cases their subsectors. It covers the scheme's requirement of human resource, quality management system and procedures to be followed, integrity of primary data, the assessment processes, the accreditation criteria and some relevant requirements of the scheme. Eligibility for accreditation. Any organization meeting the eligibility criteria of this scheme can apply for accreditation. These organizations can be government bodies, private organizations and public sectors undertakings, research and educational institutes like IITs, CSIR labs, other labs, universities, etc., who fulfill the requirements of the scheme. As per the scheme, there are 5 essential requirements for accreditation. Number 1, human resource. Number 2, field investigation and laboratory arrangement. Number 3, quality management system. Then quality of EIA reports and finally organizational commitment. So, first about the human resource. In the human resource, the agency applying for the EIA accreditation should have EIA coordinator, that is called EC, associate EIA coordinator, that is AEC for category A projects, then functional area expert FAEs in the field of land use, air monitoring, prevention and control, metrology, air quality modeling and prediction, water pollution monitoring, prevention and control, ecology and biodiversity, noise and vibration, socioeconomics, hydrology, groundwater and water conservation, geology, soil conservation, risk assessment and hazardous management, solid and hazardous waste management function. Then requirement is of functional area associates called FAA, then team members and finally mentors. The scheme also mentions their qualifications as well as expertise required in the field. These have been described in the chapter in the form of a table 1. Then comes the second major requirement is field investigations and laboratory arrangement. The scope of accreditation or recognition or certification covers relevant parameters required for collecting baseline data of physical environment for conducting EIA studies for parameters like ambient air quality, stack emissions, water and wastewater quality, soil characteristics, noise, field investigations for biotic environment and socio-economic data. Number 3 comes the quality management system, QMS. One of the objective of this scheme is to produce good quality reports with data presented in proper and standard way. The scheme mandates the consultant organizations to have their own EIA preparation manual. The consultants are also encouraged to enrich the reports with from their own learnings over the years. To facilitate the above, the applicant organization must maintain a quality management system QMS based on the current version of ISO 9001 standards. Although it is not mandatory that the organization should be ISO 9001 certified, but QMS must address the requirements of ISO 9001 and the specific requirements of the scheme. Number 4 is the quality of EIA reports. As per the scheme, the EIA consultant organizations should prepare good quality reports. The report should include all the baseline data, site description, analysis and interpretation with accuracy. The report should address the identification of potential impacts and mitigation measures reported in best way. Organizational commitment. The objective of the scheme is to identify credible EIA consultant organizations who should contribute towards improving the quality of EIAs in the country. To achieve the objective, a commitment is required from the accredited consultants for the continuous improvement of EIA. Then finally, accreditation process. The accreditation process passes through main 4 steps. Number 1 is the application assessment process. This is the first step after receiving the application of the consultant organizations. The process completes with checking of the application at 2 stages. Number 1 is stage 1, which is checking completeness of the application by NABIT Secretariat. Stage 2 is technical review of documents. Then comes the office assessment process. This is the next step for processing the application received after preliminary checking and technical review. It involves assessment of an application for the 6 aspects. These are quality and performance of personnel, quality management system, field investigations and laboratory systems to ensure data integrity, quality of EIA reports, organizational evaluation commitment, compliance to conditions of accreditation or improvements achieved. The table giving the assessment marks for accreditation of EIA consultants is shown here. We can see that there are marks for different aspects and marks are allotted in respect of the all the 3 IA, SA and RA. Number 1 is quality and performance of the personnel, that is EIA coordinators and FAEs. For IA 20 marks have been allotted, whereas for SA EIA coordinators have been given 15 marks and FAEs 10 marks. For RA the marks are 10. IA denotes potential of the AO, whereas SA compliance and performance of the ACO and RA is for performance and improvement of the ACO. Number 2 is quality management system, for which 15 marks for the IA, 15 for the SA and 25 marks for the RA has been allocated. Number 3, field investigations and laboratory system to ensure data integrity. Here 25 marks has been allocated in each IA and SA, whereas 20 marks in RA. Number 4, quality of EIAs. For quality of EIAs, IA has been given 10 marks, SA 20 marks and RA 30 marks. Similarly, organizational evaluation or commitment, 10 marks in IA and SA and 5 in the RA. Then the compliance to conditions of accreditation or improvements achieved. Here no marks have been given for IA, whereas 5 for SA and 10 for RA. The total 100 marks are there for each category IA, SA and RA. Then number 3 comes the assessment. The application after passing through the above 2 processes come for assessment in terms of marks as discussed in the table. As per the scheme, marks have been allocated for the above aspects as already enlisted in the table given above. Then comes the decision making process. On completion of the above 3 processes, a joint report prepared by the principal assessor and the co-assessor is submitted to the NABIT Secretariat. The NABIT Secretariat checks the report for its completeness and may ask additional clarifications, information as required for the purpose. The case is then put before the accreditation committee by the NABIT Secretariat for its consideration, review and decision on accreditation. The committee assesses the application on the basis of the marks obtained in the process and takes final decision either as accredited in case the applicant clears the assessment and accreditation process successfully with marks more than 40%. Not approved if marks are less than 40% in the office assessment or does not fulfill any other requirement of the scheme, the accreditation is not granted. Incomplete applications, if an AO submits an incomplete application in which requisite details are not provided or it does not meet the requirements of the scheme in respect of eligible candidates for EC and FAES, quality management system, QMS, laboratory details, etc. The same is put in the incomplete application list. NABIT intimates the AO of the deficiencies in the application. If it is an application for IA, the same is processed further once all requirements are fulfilled. Then finally, benefits of accreditation. There are 2 types of benefits. One are for EIA consultant organizations. These benefits are use of QCI NABIT logo, a mark of quality on their reports. Recognition of competence and capability. Periodic assessment by NABIT paving the way for continual improvement. Publicity through QCI and MOEFCC websites and publications. Growth in business through reputational benefits. Competitive edge. Apart from this, there are some benefits for project proponents and other stakeholders. These benefits are availability of a list of capability verified consultants for different sectors, checks on performance of the consultants through NABIT website, reduced risks on investments by project proponents choosing capable EIA consultants, enhanced acceptability of developmental projects by all stakeholders. So, hence in the last we conclude that the Government of India has gone a way ahead starting EIA from 1994 to 2018. The introduction of EIA accreditation scheme has given another edge to the EIA as it ensures the quality of the EIA reports and also expertise in the EIA field. Thank you.